Choose to bite. Right.
What are you going to do? What are you going to pull back from? You're going to pull back a little from the restaurant, or are you going to lie and say you're not going to pull back from the restaurant?
Good.
Which is, I advise you to do, by the way, say, oh, no, I'll be at the fish market at 4 o'clock tomorrow, I'm not changing my life at all.
The lie that I've been saying for some years is, oh my God, I graduated, I am executive chef. I can get the manicure and my hands will stay clean for 3 weeks and I'll have no burns. And someone will show up the next day and I'm working the brunch egg shift. And I was like, I almost graduated. They asked me to work the shift and I did. So every time I think I've gotten away, they bring me back. But in fact, I like it. And I would love it if I can do some writing and some cooking. It's antidote to each other. You know, that lonely sugar you do at home alone, where you're fighting your demons. And it's so nice to walk into the restaurant and there are people and there's life going on and conviviality and stuff that you can finish by 5 o'clock, frankly, as opposed to unravel the human condition here on page 72. That's an uphill task.
When you look into the faraway future, I have over-romantic, Italian-related end-game in mind. You know, it's sort of a Don Corleone backyard dying in the tomato vines. Seriously, I mean, it's stupid. Probably won't happen. Definitely won't happen that way. But so, end-game for you. If everything goes right, perfect world, what's the end game?
I mean, this is so amazing because while you're keeling over in the tomato patch, I'm going to be in my heavy black wool stockings and my widow's Nona's outfit shucking the fava beans.
Sounds good to me.
I have never understood, ever understood, except maybe in sports, the difference between girl cooks and boy cooks. I mean, it's truly baffling. I don't understand. I can lift it, I can cook it, I can stay up as late, I can drink as hard, and chop as fast, and I don't get it. It's there's no difference. Check me out. Slave play. I love him. So I probably eat a dozen radishes with butter and kosher salt every day of my life, and I probably have a can of boneless, skinless sardines every day with Triscuits. How's that?
I knew I loved your restaurant from, within seconds of going in and seeing the radishes and butter on the bar. I knew I was in my happy place. Kind of made the transition from, you're out there catering, which is another world. I've done it. When I disappeared off the grid for a few years at a time, I would do that. When did you decide, or how the hell, what? Was there a turning point?
So I'd been cooking my whole life, and I had always wanted to be a writer, and when I was 35 years old, I just said, okay, no more cooking. I have to find out if I have anything else in me, anything else to offer. And I sold every piece of stainless steel I owned and got rid of my check pans, or some of them, and moved to Michigan and got an MFA in fiction writing. And then I came back to New York and I opened a restaurant in about 11 months. And when I opened the gate of the restaurant, I really said out loud to myself, that's it, I'm not a writer. I've answered the question, I'm a cook, I've been doing it for 25 years. It's getting tedious to say, oh, I was gonna write that book, but I'm busy cooking. And so I just thought it was time to man up, or buck up, and be a chef. And then 6 weeks later, I got a writing gig for the New York Times. So I had grieved heavily, saying goodbye to a dream, to a lifelong self-idea, what I would be when I grow up, how I would live my life, and I mourned its loss fiercely. And then the two forks in the road reconverged. Sorry, I'm laughing, but it's amazing. Writing. I wrote on the line during service on brown pieces of paper ripped off from the roll, the same paper that we cover the tables with. My experience writing this book was so remote from the Virginia Woolf ideal of a room of one's own, and the tray of breakfast waits for you outside of your little mini yaddo. I wrote in the car, stuck in bumper-to-bumper traffic. I wrote on a subway, jerking away, then I would step off onto the platform just to finish the thought, and then get back on the subway and finish the journey. I wrote at my desk with the office filled with the general manager and the managers and the phone ringing, and I put the headphones on and sometimes a sign on my back that was just like, "Don't touch me." And I blared sort of anthem-like songs on repeat, just to drown out the whole restaurant. And I wrote in bed in the middle of the night with two little infants and an itty-bitty book light. I mean, it was obscene. It was not fun or easy, but here it is. That's why I made out with it.
Which anthem-like songs are we talking about?
This is my most fearful category that you're going to think I'm not cool. So if I tell you,
Journey.
Because like we have this joke, it wasn't Journey, but there was some Springsteen and a little Fleetwood Mac. I know, sorry.
Next question.
No shame. Fleetwood Mac. I grew up with a garden attached to our house. We went to the farm and got raw milk from the cows and left the money in the honor system coffee can. This obsession is, I've already lived it. It's a part of my life, so I don't have to talk about it very much. I don't need to comment on it. It just is who I am, and so now I'm ready to move on to other stuff. It's a non-topic. Does that make sense for me? But clearly, it's very interesting to people. I was killing myself. I was like, why didn't I just pitch a cookbook? A lively head note, a glossy photo, and a recipe. That sounds so easy, which is, of course, it's not easy at all. Cookbooks that work are very difficult, but it did seem very enticing when I was in the middle of this muck.
Of the places you have traveled, the places that you took the most from, do you think?
Yes, I took this 2-year backpacking trip around the world with my $1,100 in traveler's checks and made it pretty far. I starved a lot, was often not eating, but I think that Greece and Turkey, where I worked a lot I cooked in all these countries to make a living. You know, people pick oranges in Crete and clean hotel rooms in certain touristy places. So anyway, I did that whole vagabond thing. I think Greece, its simplicity, it's also my kind of food. It has a lot of meat and vegetable, and that's how I like to eat also. And olive oil. I'm a salt, pepper, olive oil cook. That's our joke at Prune all the time. It's like, did you garnish that with olive oil?
Guilty pleasure? Something really disgusting and shameful that you don't want to admit really liking?
I know that you're supposed to have those feelings, and I don't live with any guilt. That's just not my game. I drink Coca-Cola a lot.
So mac and cheese at the Colonel would not be an embarrassment.
Oh God, Popeye's fried chicken when you need it. The emotional journey of writing the book. You know what I tried to do in the book? I tried to not. I know this sounds ridiculous. I tried to not write my story, and I know this is a memoir about me, but I tried to write a bigger story, and I hoped that whatever was going on for me could be going on for other people too. I always use myself as a kind of average barometer, so it's the same when I opened the restaurant. The kind of restaurant that Prune is did not really exist in 1999, and I thought, I'd kind of like to eat this way, and this is food that I would enjoy eating, and this is the soundtrack I would like to hear, this is what I would like my server to be wearing and saying. So I'm going to assume that maybe there's some other people like me, and it turned out to be true. And so I did the same thing with the book. I thought, I struggle in marriage, I have parents. I struggle raising children, I'm not on top. I mean, that's the thing. I'm often feeling that I have not conquered it all. I don't always have it. like that. So that was what I was hoping for. I hope it worked out. The reason I went into cooking in the first place is because I'm really interested in money. Of course I want the restaurant to continue to succeed, but I have only 30 seats to fill, and that's not too hard, and we've been lucky enough to do that for 11 years, which in restaurant or dog years is like 44, especially in New York. So I hope we'll be okay, and if there's a bump, great. I'll buy my Benz, yeah.
On that note, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'll give a much more thanks to Gabrielle, and then we'll see if we can give them her name. We thank you so much for coming. For those of you in the back, my colleague Linda has a secondary line forming right at the start of graphic novels on your left-hand side.